like a port, construction of a port in Cape Coast.
Yeah.
Talks about linking of the rail line from Ghana to Burkina Faso. That has equally not happened. But of course, that's also found expression in the new manifesto. That a rail line will be constructed from Ghana and then it will link to Burkina Faso. It's also a promise that runs through all the two manifestos. And I'm talking about NDC and then the NPP.
Yeah.
Yes. So basically, and among other things, these are some of the promises that have found their way into the new manifesto. And that must not come as a surprise anyway, because government or governance, they say, is a continuum. And I remember there's one promise that has found its way into everybody's manifesto since 1992, and that is deploying irrigation facilities on the Accra Plains to turn the place into the food basket of the country.
Yeah.
NDC, MPP, they always capture that in the manifesto. Just that yesterday I didn't hear that. That the Accra Plains line followed the rich zone for farming. All you need is to deploy irrigation facilities and that place becomes the food basket of the country. I didn't hear that one. Now, the vice president equally mentioned things that were fresh and new and uncut, right? I've related to some of them, and that's the flat tax regime. He also talks about the fact that he will reform the procurement processes. Whenever we talk about corruption in the administration, you have to just go back to the procurement processes. And everybody knows that that is the challenge that this country is grappling with. Awarding contracts to cronies, inflated contract costs, among many other areas of the procurement process. And so, if there is any reform, I'm wondering how far-reaching that reform will be to be able to cut out cronism, patronage, and basically family and friends, so to speak. But of course, we look forward to that. So, Lantam, in a nutshell, these are the. But if I go to the program itself yesterday,
Yeah.
I think, yes, the speeches were short and concise, and that's because it was quite loaded. I felt the vice president spoke for too long. At the point he got tired.
Yeah, you spoke for well over 40 minutes, right?
Yes, I've probably
Close
been
to
more,
an hour,
more, yeah,
or more.
yeah.
Yeah.
At the point he got tired, and you could visibly tell that he got tired. So I feel many of the promises he could have been given an abridged version, and then you just direct the viewers and then the country to the entire manifesto, which will capture everything. Again, they had people come talk about sector-specific issues.
Yeah.
I think they could have just allowed them to read from the manifesto, just to reduce the burden on the vice president.
Yeah.
So, for instance, if Prince David Osei had read the aspect of the creative
For the
art,
creative arts.
you get the young
sector.
lady reading about
Yeah.
the youth,
Yeah.
and then the women, and
Yeah,
what
all
have
of that
you.
in the manifesto,
that will have reduced the burden on the vice president. Again, I didn't expect the president to speak, and at the point I felt the president was not going to speak, because per the running order that we saw, the president was supposed to speak before the flag bearer.
Yeah.
So after the flag bearer had given us some insights into the manifesto, I felt, oh wow, here we go. The president has indeed handed over to his vice and then the party's flag bearer, Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, and then the president came to speak.
Yeah.
I still feel, and I feel strongly, that if that narrative was allowed to stand, that Akufo-Addo has taken the back seat, and then on that stage, he's handed over the baton to his vice president.
Yeah.
It could have been a very beautiful narrative, but it was not to be. Yeah.
Well, the president is the president, and
Yeah.
he's still the president anyway. So, but if you look at the NPP's manifesto as they've launched it, there are about 14, major areas, that they look at. So, they want to sustain and expand Ghana's rebounding economy. They want to create new jobs. They want to implement wide-ranging tax reforms. That's what they want to do. And, talking about the tax reforms, right?
Yeah.
This, like you mentioned, a one-time tax amnesty to all Ghanaians and corporate entities,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's something that they want to do. They say they want to also reform the value-added tax regime. So what they want to do here is that they want to merge all levies into a single line item levy and treat the merged levy as part of input and output VAT to eliminate the cascading effect of the current regime. They also want to reduce withholding tax for small-scale gold exports to 1%, so that is going to discourage smuggling. They also want to, of course, abolish the betting tax.
Yeah.
They want to incentivize Ghanaian startups in selected strategic sectors with investment tax credits for the first 3 years of the operations. And of course, they want to digitize all aspects of tax administration to reduce leakages. So I heard the vice president say that there isn't going to be any manual filing of taxes.
Yes.
They want to harmonize port charges. They want to broaden the tax base. And this is where, I really want to focus on, because this thing of broadening the tax base is something that both political parties have always said.
Yes.
Broaden the tax base, broaden the tax base. So, what's different now? Right?
Yeah.
So, moving on, they also want to, they also say that they want to build Ghana into a world-class digital economy. That's one thing that they want to do. They also want to reduce the cost of living. This will be very, very important to Ghanaians. Reduce the cost of living. And one of the ways that they are going to do that is to reduce the cost of public transportation by promoting and supporting electric vehicles for public transportation.
Yeah.
And also expand the Gold for Oil program. These are some of the things that they want to do. They also want to look at social housing and affordable housing and improving housing finance so that people can get houses. So promises galore. They want to expand public infrastructure, provide better health care for all, implement affirmative action for women and girls. The affirmative action bill has been passed, right?
Yes.
It's not been assented to by the president yet, has it?
Not yet. Not that I know of.
It hasn't.
Yeah.
Expand educational opportunities for all, provide good governance, care for the elderly. So they say they are going to pass an aging act for the care and protection of the elderly, implement policies on the establishment of home care, create elder-specific social assistance schemes. Okay. They also want to protect our environment. Now, this is very important because our environment has been devastated by illegal small-scale mining.
Yeah.
So how are they going to deal with that? Did you hear the vice president talk about how his administration would deal with Galamsey
Galamsey was not
if
mentioned.
he was elected into office?
Galamsey was not mentioned.
Yeah, I also thought so, because I didn't hear anything about Galamsey. But they talk about protecting the environment. So they
Yes,
are talking
they talk
about
mining,
enhancing, enhancing the protection of our forests and biodiversity hotspots, restoring our forests through reforestation programs. And they said they are going to usher in a golden age for Ghanaian-owned small-scale mining for wealth and jobs, and promote responsible and sustainable small-scale mining, including addressing illegal small-scale mining. So this is what is in the document that I have.
Yeah.
So I wonder what is different here. Making available proven reserves data to small-scale miners to deal with the associated problem of trial and error digging for gold. Simplify the small-scale mining licensing regime. Scaling up the use of mercury-free gold catcher machine technology. Ensuring strict adherence to our mining laws and regulations to prevent illegal and improper mining practices. And they also want to protect and preserve water resources. But I would have loved a more detailed plan, because whatever plan this administration under Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has put forth to deal with Galamsey has not worked.
Yeah.
Even after he putting his presidency on the line and saying that he doesn't care, I'm willing to put my presidency on the line to deal with Galamsey. Galamsey is still alive and well.
Yeah.
It's still alive and well, to the extent that now you can even see it in the sometimes you are traveling and just by the roadside, people are actively engaging in illegal small-scale mining.
Yeah.
And this administration has failed. Let's call a spade and not a big spoon. It has failed when it comes to
Galamsey,
dealing with
right.
Galamsey. They haven't done anything about it, and it is still alive and well. And there are political actors and players who are even involved in this. And, when the issues of Akunta mining and co came up. What did the president stand on the podium to say? That as he speaks, he doesn't know of any Akonta mining engaged in any illegal activity. Meanwhile, we were getting different stories from what the Forestry Commission and the EP and all of that.
Yeah.
You know, so the fight against illegal small-scale mining under this regime really hasn't yielded any positive results, if you ask me. And I would have loved to hear what Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia would have said about dealing with it once and for all in a very detailed manner. What I'm looking at here is, you know, it's not comprehensive enough for me, you know. And they also want to boost sports and creative arts and tourism, and they want to protect our borders by keeping safe neighborhoods. So these are some of the highlights. But we can go and listen to Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's speech, you know, to understand. For those of you who missed it, we're bringing you a playback of Dr. Bawumia's speech at the NPP's Manifesto launch yesterday.
Under this John Mahama-led NDC government, every development initiative or infrastructure project is seen as an opportunity to loot public funds. The monies lost through corruption from create, loot, and share schemes like SADA, JIDA, Wyoming, Waterville, and other judgment debts, Smarties, bus branding, Embraer, Car Power, AmeriPower, and the routine overpricing of contracts through sole sourcing are huge. Economic mismanagement and corruption has resulted in Ghana turning to the IMF for a bailout. Fellow Ghanaians, Ghana's sovereign credit rating has been downgraded from B+ positive. Without oil, Ghana was being rated as B+ positive under the NPP. We've now come down with oil under the NDC and John Mahama to B- with a stable outlook in 2016. So we've gone from B+ to B- with oil. In fact, international credit ratings agencies like Moody's, Fitch, Standard & Poor's now have basically the same credit rating for Ghana. The recent revision of Ghana's outlook from B- negative to B- stable, that is the equivalent of B3 that Moody's has. The outlook was revised from negative to stable, has resulted in a misinterpretation by this NDC government and President Mahama that Ghana's credit rating has been upgraded. This is in fact not the case. Moody's did not upgrade Ghana. Ghana's rating under Moody's is still B-. It is only the outlook that has been revised, and that is not equivalent to a change in ratings or a ratings upgrade. The outlook is not equivalent to an upgrade in the ratings. Sometimes one wonders whether they don't read or they don't understand. So, let me give Mr. President a free piece of advice. Mr. President, please desist from embarrassing yourself by stating that Moody's has upgraded Ghana. Your economic management team should explain that difference to you. The Mo Ibrahim 2016 report on governance shows that on virtually all key indicators such as safety and the rule of law, human rights, economic opportunities, infrastructure, business environment, human development, health, and public management, all these
extraordinary radio for discerning listeners. Star 103.5 FM.
It's portable, disposable, and always on hand when you need it. Flora disposable handkerchief fits in your pocket or bag, and it's always ready to come to the rescue. Sweat? No problem. Coughs and colds? Caught safely.